Yeah,
Um,
George may not know the colors.
yeah, I just
Gotta
realized.
tell him what it is.
Yeah,
I still have the habit of
using
saying
it.
some of the common expressions in Dubai. I
Yeah,
mean, I still say them sometimes in between like kala, inshallah, and all this.
true, true, true. That's why I just realized that we do not have. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we discussed, guys, and it's maybe two or three questions definitely will come from these two scenarios. Remember, I always tell you that whatever we study, it matters, but we need to remain focused on the exam objectives. And this slide tells us that from the domain two, which is the business environment domain, we studied today appropriate governance for project. We determined today, I mean, we studied today escalation paths, threshold, and then you may see questions built around these scenarios in the exam and in the practice also. Yeah. So I think we can take 5 minutes break, then we'll start the last section of it, which is compliance. Okay, all good?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So we did not go too much in detail, as far as I understood, about the escalation, different escalation paths and thresholds. I mean, we just saw one slide where you mentioned that if the threshold of the risk is higher than what you can tolerate,
You are a project team member. You are a project team member, and you have an issue with your colleague. Okay, so every issue you will not raise to the PM, the project manager. Okay, you will not raise every issue to the PM. You both of you will try to solve this issue at a team level, right? So let's say two team members had an issue, they didn't manage to close this issue among themselves, then they raise to the project manager. So this is one part, right? And then if a project manager to the PMO, shall they raise it to the steering committee? Let's call it a steering committee. Okay, let's call it a steering. Shall they raise to steering committee? No, because the technical problem, the team and the PM should brainstorm the alternative solution until and unless they couldn't reach to us to any solution. Then definitely they will raise it again. They will go back to the PMO and they will ask for any SME support they can get. SME support, which a PMO might know better than a PM. A PM might not know from where to get the infrastructure support, from where to get the cloud or some other special support. The PMO is linked with all the organizational structure, so they will guide them to the responsible person. So here we said that how we will know who is the responsible stakeholder. We will go back to PMO or we will go back to the steering committee for some external problems. Let's say internal, you will get to know from the PMO. But for example, you have a problem with the regulator. I mean, governing body or maybe government. Yeah, your material is stuck in custom. Now, steering committee is well connected with the government bodies. So for any external support where you are actually stuck and you don't have PMO support even, you will ask who is the responsible person to be approached in some other company, in some other government body, in a regulation, in custom. So steering committee is top management, so they might escalate, provide you the responsible person to approach, or they may connect you with those. Yeah, you good. You have highlighted this that we didn't discuss it. So just to summarize, team level issues are resolved at team level. These are not escalated to PM, but if escalated, PM resolves them, provide the mediation role or conflict. They resolve the conflicts between the team members. And then if it is any issue which is technical or it depends, it needs some support from the other functions or the within the organization, then PM will approach a PMO, but it is for any internal issue. But now if it is about any internal or external issue which is beyond PMO support, then they will take it and escalate it to the steering committee, where steering committee will. All good?
yeah, thanks.
All right, good question. Any other question, guys? Okay, then let's take 5 minute break. I'll be back after 6 minutes.
Yeah, George may not know the colors.
Yeah, I just right. Okay, so remember our one principle that we studied, the first one, very first one in project management was that a PM has to be a caring steward. So it means that he has to take care of everything, everything. It's not about the people, the resources, it's about even the living, non-living things, the environment. He has to comply with the safety standards. He has to comply with the health standards. He has to comply that any waste that is produced as part of the project activities should not destroy the environment. So all these things he has to be careful, and then that he complies with all the government regulations that the organization is supposed to follow, so as the project has to follow. All the corporate policies, the internal policies of hiring, firing, he has to make sure that all those ethical policies are being followed. And then he has to comply with the acceptance criteria, like the quality. The quality is what? Quality is that you are delivering what you are asked. So if you deliver what you have been asked, which means that you are complying with the product quality standards, and then so on, so on, we need to be ensuring as well that the people who work with, they comply with the contracts, like the contractors, subcontractors. Do they comply with the signed contracts? Are they timely delivering the products and services? If yes, fine. If no, then we have to make sure that they comply with those contracts. So ensuring that we have right standards in place, and then these standards are being followed. It's part of the insurance that quality is built in, quality is built into the process, as well as it's built into the deliverables, rather than we inspect the quality towards the end of the delivery or the project. We are building the quality within the processes, and we're building the quality within the deliverables. So if we are complying with those standards, the quality standards that we choose in the beginning, and we are ensuring that on day-to-day basis these are being followed, then definitely the end product will be having less issues related to quality. And again, also you have to comply with your plans. For example, you have set timelines. So team members should be accountable that we have an action which need to be finished, at least worked on, status need to be updated. So each and every one person who is part of the team, they should be compliant with whatever is assigned, or at least they have committed, right? So compliance will go beyond just the internal processes. It will go towards whatever organization is compliant, we have to be compliant with. And stewardship also will go beyond the resources that you have, but also it will encompass the environment that you also should be compliant with. This is what we will be studying. So as we said, there will be some legal and regulatory compliance that we will need to align. So each product, for example, we make, it is governed by a regulator. So we cannot freely add features to the kind of products that we make unless and until we have a regulator approval. The example I give again and again is of insurance company. So if it's a startup and they didn't get an approval from the regulator to sell a comprehensive insurance, so they will never build comprehensive insurance, because they need to get the approval to sell comprehensive insurance. They have certain set of requirements which they need to meet. That they need to define the product to those standards which are actually acceptable by the regulators, so that they can issue them the acceptance. I mean the approval to sell that kind of a product. So we need to be compliant with legal and regulatory requirements in our projects, as well as our products need to be compliant as well, because we are not free. We are free to innovate. We are free to dream. But if we dream something which we want to make it happen, then we need to take it through a proper approval process, rather than directly building it and launching it. We need to first follow the regular process of getting the regular approval. So there are our products, and our projects are bound by the legal requirements, and the legal requirements go beyond, like you cannot hire, you cannot fire without reason. You cannot hire with a conflict of interest. So we have to follow all those ethical standards and the legal obligations whichever country we work in. There are some regulations which are related to HR. So all those regulations, the working hours, the non-working days, the work-life balance, all these apply even to the organizational resources as well as to the project resources, same to the outsourced contractors and subcontractors resources. So all these legal policies related to HR will apply to projects as well. So we cannot expect a resource working more than 48 hours. If the contract says 48 hours, it's 48 hours, unless and until there are exceptions. But if it is properly overtime is given and overtime is included, then overtime can be given. But yeah, we have some standards which need to be followed, some laws which need to be followed. Privacy laws like data privacy, like imagine a scenario where you are not allowed to work with a remote resource which sits somewhere outside those countries where you can deal with, right? So let's say if you are working within European Union, you have a privacy law that data should reside within European Union. It should not leave the European Union. So yeah, these are important privacy laws. Similar goes for any kind of laws. Handling the sensitive information means like we have to be if we share customer information online, we have to be PCI compliant. For example, if we are sharing the card information between various systems, this information is traveling from a system to system, then we have certain compliance that we need to follow. Yeah, so being a PM, we should be aware about that there are regulations around our products and our projects. There are safety standards related to health and safety and environment. There are privacy laws such as GDPR, and there are compliance while sharing the sensitive information. All right, any question here? Okay. Quick things I think we've been discussing in compliance, that we have to be environmentally compliant, health and safety compliant, ethically compliant. We can't give the contract to our wherever there is a conflict of interest, like to our own businesses. We have social responsibility as well, so we should not be forgetting it. And then the product quality compliance as well as the risks compliance. Like for example, we have we need to see working with certain stakeholders, certain outsourcing partners could be a risk because they have always been delaying providing the resources or delaying providing the deliverables, whatever, the material, the equipment, the product. So if we have bad history of working with certain supplier, contractor, then we should raise it as a risk. And then we need to make sure that we also while making new contracts, we ensure that this recommendation is taken care of as well. And also we mitigate these risks through having contracts with the alternative suppliers. So we need to foresee that what are the risks we may see in these scenarios. And what else? Yeah, legal and regulatory we already talked, and industry and solution scope. What does it mean? I think it means that, yeah, Danish, you have anything to add?
I have a question to ask about the process risks. So, I mean, risks in general, how do they come in compliance category? This I did not get, like, so clear for me.
Okay, so if you just go back and look, the process that we follow right now is the PMI methodology, and it tells us that we need to follow various processes in order to manage our project. We need to develop a charter, we need to identify stakeholders, so we need to mitigate our risks, we need to follow a set of 40 plus processes to ensure that we are managing a project as per a methodology, as per the processes defined by PMI. Okay, so if you see any process, there is a deviation in following a process, like people are coming and managing the projects on their own way, right? So they're not complying to the processes, right? Like they are not complying with the organizational process, the set and defined process to manage a project, right?
Okay, I got it. I mean, I just missed this process part. Okay, fine, thanks.
Yeah. Similarly, the hiring process of your organization, if you see that hiring is happening on a project without following the standard hiring process, so this is a risk that we are introducing, right? There is some unethical practice going on. Yeah, true. Okay. All right. So, what are the threats to compliance? Okay. Okay. So, in each organization that we work, we have we do have a compliance department. We do have a process department. functioning or not functioning, single person or 2%, but we definitely will have a legal department. We will have a person sitting there who is developing the processes, or he has the process repository. We have a person who ensures that our products are compliant with the regulatory bodies, and they have the right regulations. They are aware of the right regulations in place, related to everything, like internal resources, our data, the way we handle the customer data, and then from time to time these internal departments do the audit, internal audit, project audit, product audit. Are we compliant to those regulations for industry, industry regulations or IA internal, or I mean the regulator or the legal regulations while we manage our projects, while we deal with the resources. So if you foresee any issue, you should have a set process in place to bring forth those non-compliance issues. Like if you see any unethical thing happening, you should always raise the flag. That's what the first thing, being transparent. You should be, or any team member should be courageous enough that they should approach the authorities, and they should always be transparent and tell that and raise the flag that there is some unethical thing which is happening. Either it is related to non-safety standards, some risks related to health, some risks related to data, any email that is going outside to suppliers, contractors, which you foresee that it should not happen, then there should be an accountability in place within the team, within the project team. It is responsibility, ultimate responsibility, that compliance is everybody's responsibility. It's not just the PM, or it's not like higher management. It's everyone in the organization has this responsibility that they need to be aware of. So we need to ensure that our team and stakeholders are all aware of the compliance matters related to safety of data, related to safety of personnel, and so on. And also some of the organizations that we are having membership with, because always if our product meet the compliance standards, then only we will be getting those product compliance certificates, right? And definitely if we have some ISO standards that we are compliant, then we need to ensure that we don't do anything that we lose this compliance, right? So if we are ISO compliant for certain standard, then we ensure that these standards on every revision, every audit, we meet all the criteria, all the check boxes are checked, and then we always remain compliant with those standards. Any question here? Okay. So coming to the project, so if you remember, in project we have an objective that we have to be on time, we have to be on budget, and we have to deliver the scope of work, complete scope of work, right? On time, on budget, on schedule. So what can derail the progress? I mean, what can put us behind budget or behind schedule or over budget? So all these risks we need to proactively track and manage those risks related to project objectives, right? But the bigger part is that just like you are careful about your scope of work is completed, your schedule, your own time, and your own budget, add your compliance as your objective. Like you need to treat compliance as one of your objective of the project, because we never stressed this part earlier in case of projects. We always say, okay, PM role is to deliver within the time, within the quality, within the budget, but never we said that deliver while compliant with the regulations of health and safety. That's where we are stressing that you need to know the compliance requirements as you know the product requirements. You know your products, you know your project scope. Also add compliance part of your product requirements, that you have to be always considering the compliance requirements as part of your product requirements. Be prepared for the quality audits. As I said that always the internal departments or external consultants, they will be visiting and they will be ensuring that we are compliant with the laws, we are compliant with the regulations. And yeah, so be prepared to provide them at the time of audit. We should be able to provide them our supporting data that shows, yeah, we are following a process. Our hiring process is being followed. This is the email which was the request placed for hiring of the resources to the, let's say, hiring manager or recruitment department, and we have some proofs with us, whichever are needed. We need to check compliance before end of the project to avoid transferring the issues, just like ensuring that we have the deliverables which are signed off. Similarly, we need to ensure that the compliance requirements are met at the phase gates as well. That's a good addition, that at the end of the project also, we need to ensure that we are fully compliant and all the proofs are archived together with the project documentation. We also document the compliance, and documentation is the key, guys, because this is how you will show that you are compliant because everything is signed off, written, documented. In a risk or compliance register. So what do we have in organization is a risk register for our projects. The risk identification process is a 3 or 4 step process that we do. We follow a process of risk identification. We gather the team with the team on ongoing basis. We frequently visit our risks, and then we prepare a risk register. And then for all these risks which are identified as part of this exercise, we will assign a risk owner who will actually look after the mitigation. So whatever mitigation is decided, it's risk owner job. That job is that mitigation is the action for mitigation is taken. The action is taken because it's not only let's say important that we know that there is a risk and then mitigation is put in place. It's also important that we assign an owner who should work on this mitigation, and then we reduce the probability and impact of the risk. Because writing and knowing about the risk is not enough, because time will pass and the risk will still materialize because it has got the potential impact and it has got the potential probability. So identifying risk ahead of time has a purpose, that we do something today so that we can avoid getting impacted in future. So that's where we assign the owner who has to take an action ahead of time so that the impact is reduced. Once the risk hit us, the impact to the compliance objective, the impact to the schedule objective or budget objective is actually reduced if it so happens. And our responses are optimized. Our responses mean that if we have identified a risk response, let's say I was driving a car and I was wearing a seatbelt. So that was my response to the risk, that if in case crash happens, I at least had a seatbelt. But even if the seatbelt was on, I need to be also watchful and drive carefully. So that it means that my risk responses need to be revisited always, because maybe these are not effective enough to reduce the probability and impact of the risk. So I need another risk response. Maybe schedule and project, the budget, and of our risk identification, we also includes the compliance related risks, and we should also be adding compliance related requirements to our product backlog. Document everything. This is one of the best practice for compliance. Prioritize that you are proactive in your dealing with any compliance risk, right? It's too late when data is already shared. It's too late when the regulator has came in and fine, apply, maybe charge you $100,000 for non-compliance. It's too late. So we need to bring in systems ahead of time that we are compliant so that we avoid falling into non-compliance. And then internal audits, formal processes, this should be in place. And most importantly, the accountability, the ownership, that like a caring steward, it's your responsibility that you're also compliance steward. You are also taking care of compliance as one of your responsibility. Do your organization have any quality policy, guys? And then where is it? Do you know? Anybody want to share? What is quality policy? What is quality policy? Anyone? Yeah, Manish.
The guidelines for a company to stick by.
Yeah, correct. True.
About the quality, meaning
Yeah. So
to be the best ultimate that you can possibly be.
Yeah. True. So this always has to be, within the organization vision and mission, that they care. If they are service provider, then they will be their quality policy will be always visible in their vision and mission statements. True. That we are committed to serve our customers with utmost quality of service, right? So that's a statement, I would say, or a pledge, more of a pledge that that organization make with their customers. So everyone within the organization also should be owning that pledge, right?
So just wanted to add one thing here.
Yeah, please.
So I'm working in a very not a very big organization, so it's a small organization. So just commenting also on part of the compliance. For example, when we discussed in the last slide, we did discuss I mean, right now we are a startup, so the product is not yet launched into the market. So we focus too much on the scope, or let's say the minimum viable product that we want to make and we want to launch. But at the end of the day, we forgot about the compliance. I mean, this was never part of, let's say, the quality in terms of the compliance and the legal requirements was never part of the design. So it is now at the end of the design or end of the, let's say, first testing that before going to the market, we have to have all of these legal requirements to be done. So it's now a little bit more costly process. So
wow,
if someone would have had this knowledge already, then we could have defined the quality as part of the scope, but it was never defined. So now we are thinking, you see, now that we are trying to certify our product, let's say, and then also at the same time thinking to bring in a quality management system so that we at least streamline a lot of processes for ourselves. Not for, I mean, right now we are doing it not for the customers, but rather for ourselves, because a lot of things that we do, we don't do them in a regular pattern way. So one person does it in another way, and then another person would do a mistake because there is no regular procedure for it. So what we are doing at the moment is implementing a quality policy, of course, but it's for internal, let's say, betterment rather than external at the moment. So it's just one thing that I wanted to comment.
Wow. We have a moment of truth, what we call, right, Gigi?
Yeah, sure. It is the realization of what exactly are we doing, or what we have done. Is it in alignment or compliance with what was set to be done? For example, in Toastmaster, if one of the points in the moment of truth is like, for the guests, how are they treated whenever they are attending the meeting for the first time? Are they given information about the club? Are they guided? What is the agenda? Are they guided about the roles? So you could say like it's a check. There's a checklist, or there is a sort of a way to gauge if we are doing the right thing or not. So that's why the ISO is definitely followed in a lot of companies, because that's where they set certain guidelines or checklists. I think it's also true in the Dubai Quality Award.
Yes.
You're familiar with that, Jam?
Yeah,
The Dubai Quality Award.
True.
Where you have to somehow comply to what is acceptable. For example, if in customer service, if you have 10 complaints, how many of those are you able to resolve in a period of, let's say, a week? If according to the standards that you are definitely performing at your best in customer service, you should somehow resolve 80% of those complaints, so that you can say, yes, you are indeed complying to the quality of service that you have promised. If you fall below that, then definitely that's an issue that has to be addressed, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, those are true. Those are the quality policies or checks that we need to ensure that as part of service provider within Dubai, we are watchful of all the complaints coming in, and if we are resolving these on timely basis. Yeah, 100% agree with you. So all good. I think we touched. We reached till the end of our business environment module, and the topics that we covered related to compliance are we should be aware about security, health and safety, law and regulatory compliance. These are the important topics that we should be aware of. Should be able to classify the compliance categories. Again, it goes back to the same product compliance, health and safety compliance, and ensuring that we are process compliant. And then what are the consequences of non-compliance, because we should be always aware that there are penalties associated with. All good, guys. Enough for today. Let's mark the end of the lesson. Thanks for joining in, and whoever will be joining on Friday, because not all will be joining on Friday. So see you all on Friday, next Friday and Saturday.
Thank you very much for the lecture. I just would like to have a timetable